6:45 now to Washington, where cuts continue across federal agencies. A federal judge ruled yesterday that cuts can continue as legal challenges continue and larger agencies could see cuts next. Our Scripps News Group Serena Marshall joins us live this morning. Serena, good morning to you. What's the impact of the most cuts at the IRS and what other agencies could be next?
Yeah, well, Aaron, the other agencies we're watching right now include the Department of Defense. Those letters have gone out. I've been told that they're starting to look at which employees, likely starting with probationary ones, could be impacted, and that'll extend to basically every division of the DoD, from intelligence to NAVC, the shipbuilding component of the Navy. I'm sure that impacts many of your viewers there. So no agency is really exempt from this. The CIA also undergoing their cuts, but the IRS is the one we're watching today, and that's because we expect about 6,000 to 7,000 probationary employees to be released as part of this federal downsizing. Now, those employees, many of them hired as part of the Inflation Reduction Act and that influx of cash that went to the IRS that was focused on both enforcement and customer service. Now, when you're looking at filing your taxes, we're only about 2 months away from the deadline right now. You'll likely experience longer wait times, longer efforts to try and get somebody on the customer service side on the phone, longer time to get your tax return if you're due a refund. And that's because, think about this, in 2022, before the IRA went into effect, customer service was at a 15% and the average wait time 30 minutes. After the IRA, they were able to improve that customer service to 87%, and the average wait time just 3 minutes. You don't want to have to deal with the IRS, but if you're forced to, you want it to be fast and efficient. That will likely get impacted. Those audits, the focus under the Biden administration of going after the high earners, those will likely also be diminished. And keep in mind here, Aaron, that every year, the IRS fails to collect about $600 billion in taxes. That's 3% of the GDP, more than a third of that, the vast majority coming from people in the top 1%. Audits of those in the top 1% dropped from 2012 to now by 72%. Those will likely now reduce even more with those auditors no longer being employed if they're part of those cuts. Aaron?
Going beyond that headline, giving us some context there, Serena. Before I let you go, I want to move on to the federal budget, too. President Trump has said that he wants to cut spending. We know that, and we know that voting started on a proposed spending bill in the Senate. So where do things stand on that this morning?
Well, that spending bill is to add spending to the DoD and border security, the wall, and improved enforcement, mass deportations. Did not include his promised tax cuts. That is going to be separate in the Senate. And really the Senate, what they voted on last night, or actually 5 a.m. this morning, was the Republicans' Plan B. They wanted to do Plan A, which is they're still moving forward in the House of Representatives. President Trump said he wants that one big, beautiful bill that includes those funding requirements, but also that $1.5 trillion bill in tax cuts. But they need to offset that spending. In the Senate, Republicans are pushing forward this two-plan bill, and the way they did it through reconciliation, that marathon vote-a-rama last night, is to allow them to do it without filibusters, but it meant anyone can propose an amendment. There were multiple amendments put forward. More than anything, Aaron, this was messaging. Democrats using it to force uncomfortable votes for Republicans. They suggested bills that would require insurers to cover IVF, research, not making sure no blocking of cuts to things like law enforcement agencies. All of those amendments, though, failed. It did move forward. But again, Republicans are hoping this is Plan B. Aaron?
Serena Marshall with our morning update. Thank you so much.